Hello, and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more information I received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking of the practitioner who's asking me questions I've prepared in advance of the session, and when I'm referred to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means that the answers are coming from the 25th. And the very first question here is in relation to someone that is on this channel. So as you know, I never share actual names, so these are made up names, but I want to share this with you because this was a question that I had, and also a question that was asked of me by someone else regarding this person. And I think that the answer from the 25th was very instructive, at least it was for me. So I do want to share that with you. All right, here's the question. So Lorrayne, what's going on with, we'll call her Julie, from Clea's YouTube channel? Tom, we'll call this person who asked about Julie, Tom, said that she's stuck in limbo. Clea would like to know if she should let her know that she's one of her other 11 incarnations, and would this help her? So just so happens, and this is why I was so interested in asking this question, this person who Tom asked me about is one of my other 11 incarnations. And this, I was told this by the 25th a while ago when I asked if there were any of my other incarnations. First of all, any other light workers, or as you know, light workers means the 12,000, or any of my other incarnations, because each light worker has up to 12 embodiments at the same time on this planet. And I was told that not only we have several light workers watching this channel, which does not surprise me at all, even though, again, being a light worker, it's not special. It's just like everybody else. So we're no better, no worse than anybody else. It's just a job. But also, I was told that there is actually another person who is one of my other incarnations, which is such a mind-boggling concept, you guys. I can't even. At any rate, so here's the answer from the 25th about this person. So Julie is actually going through, because she is one of Clea's other 11 incarnations, or Clea is one of her other 11 incarnations, and they were laughing, is going through very similar, very parallel experiences to what Clea is experiencing. Because again, you know, we always say we are all one, but even more so when it comes to the 12 embodied incarnations of the 12,000, of each of the 12,000. And yeah, she can let her know if she wants to. Nothing bad would come out of it. But the part about being in limbo is the same stuff that Clea has been dealing with, which has been, and many are dealing with, many of us are dealing with, which is this discrepancy between this conflict of interest, in a way, between becoming Neo and therefore realizing, almost as if we were on New Earth, realizing we are the reason this reality exists the way it is, and we can change it at any time, which is what we're doing. And wanting this reality to stay as much the same as it is now, because we don't want to deal with fixing anything. So do you see, there are two interests that you have to balance, because they're very much in conflict with each other. Because you have one energy, which is destructive in a way, not destructive because you're not destroying anything material, but destructive as in, again, this is all holographic. We've all created it with our imagination. All of a sudden, we really want to remove our imagination. We really want to be over here. And most of us, I mean, that's most of the time we spend is over here. Basically, we already are mentally, emotionally on your earth. We're already checked out in many ways, which has been the reason for a lot of the resistance we've all felt, and that shows up in different ways in our life, sometimes emotionally and sometimes even physically. On the other side of this, we have the fact that we're really bored about this. We don't want this anymore. We don't like it. But we still chose to be here for several months. So we do want it to look the same as it always has. You see, this is very different here. Now we can do all of this at the same time. We are doing it. It is incredible that we are doing it. We already said how unique, how unexpected, how impossible we thought this would be. And it would have been impossible had we been our old selves, in the sense of, even a year ago, even 2 years ago, we would have not been able to. We did not believe we would be able to achieve this. Now, of course, we realize, because we are consciously aware, more and more it's becoming second nature for us to remember that we create our reality. And therefore, we realize we can really balance anything we want. We can create anything. We can, for example, live in a very dark environment and be completely independent of it. Doesn't have to affect us at all. And so we are learning this. So this is wonderful. But at the same time, it is emotionally, we're already sad, we're human. Despite having such high consciousness, we do have very high consciousness, even beyond the 1000 on the Hawking scale. And they were laughing here. And they're referring to what we talked about in my last video. So I will link it above. And so you can check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It was very interesting. We are told is the maximum we can aspire to. So 1000 is what we are told is the maximum we can aspire to. Because how do you measure consciousness? Measuring consciousness would be the same as measuring source. How do you measure source? And they were laughing. I don't know. It's quite a fascinating concept, the idea that you can measure these things. But can she tell her? She can. She's not going through anything that is negative, what we would consider negative. The word limbo makes us think, well, let's see what happens. Will she come out at one end or the other? Will she be able to free herself? Even when we go through the worst of the worst in our 3D experience, which is what many of us think of as our dark night of the soul, it's never against the wishes of the essence. And it's never anything that's going to hurt us because we cannot be hurt. And so, I mean, there's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with, well, the reason Tom, we call him Tom, brought that up, because he's the one that says she's in limbo, is because he wants something of her that she's not interested in giving right now or ever. And therefore, that's why he's calling it limbo. The truth is, she has not gone through any more emotional rubber banding, we're going to say, or snatching from one place to the other, any more than you and Claire have gone through. It's just, you know, every day is different. Every day we are integrating different energy within ourselves. Our higher self every day is working on increasing our conscious awareness of what we're capable of doing. Just last night, just this morning, Claire had another dream where she started reviewing past lives. We already said this would happen, and so that's what's happened. So she actually, a lot of people in the group are saying something is feeling very down, it's feeling very low. Claire's been on a high because we are all dealing with the energy inside of us. There's nothing out there that's happening where everybody has to feel it. So Claire's actually been doing the work, and she's actually kind of calmed down when it comes to the fact, accepting the fact that we're going to be here for several more months. She's learned her lesson that if you put up resistance, all that's going to happen, you're going to make your 3D experience worse. Whereas if you take it at face value, okay, fine, let's just deal with this last stretch. Let's focus. Let's keep our eye on the ball, which is this, the recall of this thing. Then it's fine. Everything is going to work out. No need to resist it. Doesn't mean that Claire will not have ups and downs like everybody else. It just means that let's focus on the things that are working out for us, on the things that we are doing in the background that we're not even paying attention to. Like, for example, the life reviews. What this means is that by the time we get to New Earth, we're going to be light years ahead of where we would have been. This is going to make it so much easier for us to just hit the ground running, as a figure of speech. Certainly, we're still going to have to deal with a lot of things. We already said we're not really consciously aware of what's been happening here. We think we know, but we don't know anything. We know a fraction of what's been happening here. And a lot of us will have to deal with that and will not do so well in dealing with that. But let's get some stuff started and worked on so we'll not just be hit with everything all at once. Basically, we're taking advantage of this little overtime here to do some work. So she can tell her, but again, Julie is just fine. Lorraine, thank you. Holly Blossom has a question. She says, I know that the 25th said things take time to manifest in the physical, and also we get to choose what we experience. In Australia, many families can't afford the raising of rent and mortgage prices. Interest rates just raised again, which will impact people who can barely afford the cost of simply living at the moment. When I drive around, I see more homes than ever for sale. But families house hunt for rentals for many, many months before they have any luck at all getting a home to rent. Does the 25th have anything to say about this? Me. Yeah, so it's very similar to what is happening in the United States, for example. But really, in general, we already said that the dark is trying. They've been trying to cause collapses. They've been trying to cause sadness, really all around. They have not been as successful as they wish to be. We've seen what's happened with inflation. They were screaming, there's going to be a hyperinflation. Yes, prices have gone up of even basic necessities, but we're certainly not living through hyperinflation. That's what they wanted. And in fact, prices have started coming down, like the price of gas. So is the dark working in the background to try to crush the economy and ruin our lives? This is their raison d'etre. And we're laughing. This is what they do. So yes, so that's why this is happening in Australia. this is why really they're trying everywhere, even in the United States. They're saying that the Fed, which is a private company that creates nothing, they don't even have a product. Their entire product is they tell people that this is what's going to happen, and they're getting ready to increase interest rates. They've already done several increases in the past few months, and because they haven't been able to crush the economy yet, in their opinion, yet, they're going to increase a whole point now. Where are they slowing down? You can justify anything. You know, economists do this all day. They're speculating. It's almost like the gossip columns. You're speculating this is going to happen, that's going to happen, like you have a crystal ball. The fact is, we already said there's not going to be any extreme economic crash that's going to affect the common person. We have said that, of course, people who are going to be invested in certain things will suffer for the simple reason we already said. For example, the pharmaceutical companies, their stock prices have already been going down. And because apparently Brandon, and they were laughing here because they call him Brandon. And of course, they meant the actor in charge, you know, the president in charge in the United States, mentioned that the pandemic is over, as if we hadn't gotten the message loud and clear yet. Now, why did he announce, is this pandemic over because he announced it? No, basically people got tired of wearing masks. And again, this is us, okay? Because most of the people are gone. Most of the people are NPCs. If you tell them, yeah, let's wear a mask, they'll wear a mask. This is us. We said, okay, we've done this, boring, no more. I don't want to see your mask faces around anymore. It's all of a sudden, of course, there always lag. We like to think here that the government tells us and we do things. No, the government always lags behind what the people decide. And even what we have seen is that people that had decided to experience this, many of us who called ourselves out, we said, no, we're not going to play with this. We were in the same environment. We had the same government. Why did we decide not to? You see, this is the essence. The essence decides what's going to happen. So now let's go back to the question. So in Australia, yes, you're going to have situations where if you're doing something, working within the system, where you're doing something in relation to what the dark can affect, which is like interest rates, mortgages. Mortgages are not real. They're numbers on a screen. So just like the Fed that does things that are not real, says we're going to increase rates, everything is going to go up 1 point, then the numbers on the screen can go up by 1 point, 2 points, or whatever it is. So if you're working in that system, of course, you're going to be subject to this. Now we know this, that this affects people's real lives, you know, where you're going to live, what's going to happen with your house. This becomes very much a 3D manifestation for many people. But again, the people want to have that experience. And keep in mind, a lot of people are gone. So again, these are the NPCs that are finding themselves in this whirlwind of energies. But it's not everybody, certainly not everybody the way that the dark wanted. Also, Holly is particularly focused on this. She sees a lot of things for sale and she thinks, oh, this is what's happening. But is it what's happening? I'm sure there are many, many more people who are not selling their house who absolutely don't even have to do with these things. Now, she's very open-hearted. She's on the team of the light. She has a very caring heart. So of course her heart goes out to these people, but things are not exactly the way that she sees them. What we're trying to say is that, first of all, this is not necessarily happening to people with essences, which is not to say it's okay or that we don't care about the NPCs. We already said many times we do care about the NPCs. We're very grateful for these bodies, for what they've done for us, what they've allowed us to do. But again, the point we're trying to make is that the essence always chooses. In many essences, I mean, there aren't many essences left. Most of us choose not to be in the system anymore, not to be in that experience anymore. We've already done this so many times. So yeah, she sees some of that, but it's not going to affect everybody, especially because we don't want to deal with it. Just like we don't want to deal with masks, same thing. We say, no. We said this before. What we're doing very simply is every time the dark comes up with an idea, we're like, no. They're like, blah, 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 blah. No. No. This is all we're doing. We call the shots. We decide what's okay. This is why we're not particularly concerned from a lighting perspective to say, okay, fine, you want to raise interest rates, go for it, because we don't really care. It's not really going to affect us the way that they think. They think they're doing something. We're like, whatever, boring, just get out of my face. This is what's going on behind the scenes. So we understand she's concerned because, again, she's a very caring person. But we would recommend to focus on what we want to see, not on things that we think are happening out there. And it's very unfortunate these people are subject to it. Nobody's subject to anything. Lorrayne, well, bottom line, the bodies and the NPCs are holograms of our creation. We can be grateful for the table. We don't have to feel into the table. That's my opinion. Me. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. And this comment was not meant as in we don't care. It's just a matter of let's focus on the essences right now, because we are dictating everything and we must focus on what we want to see. We don't want to focus too much on the show that's going on. We're only keeping the show going because it suits our purposes, it fits our purposes, it serves our purposes, in that we don't want our reality to completely collapse. And we know that the dark, unfortunately, is created and controls most of it. We now control the reality. Lorrayne, okay, Clea says, along the same lines as Holly, electricity has increased in price by a staggering amount in Europe, forcing businesses that have survived the lockdown to close and families to go without necessities. We know the dark is doing us a favor by staying around and holding up the system, so it won't collapse. But why these extremes still? Can't we just continue as normal without any more discomfort? Can we do what we're here to do without all this drama? Me. Yes, we can. But again, we already said we kind of want the show to continue, and the show is not going to affect us. Well, it looks like it's affecting us from a 3D perspective, like, for example, electricity doubling in Europe or more. These things, again, we're not victims of these circumstances. This is the balance we're keeping between certain things being maintained, so they look like the past or what we consider the past, and really what we're doing in the background. The bottom line is this making our lives impossible to live? Is this really affecting us? And you already know the answer to that. Really isn't in a way that really changes your lifestyle. Now, some of these people, absolutely. Claire has seen somebody who had a story about their mother who had had a bakery shop for 30 years. And all of a sudden her bill, her electricity bill, had quintupled, or actually had become 6 times as much, the article said. And therefore they were forced to close the bakery shop. But if this is an essence, they would have chosen that. And even if it's not an essence, the fact is, they probably don't want to do that anymore. They've been open for 30 years. Again, the essence will find ways to have the experience it wants if there is an essence involved. And this thing that looks like it's coming from the outside, it would just be something for the essence to latch onto to trigger the experience the essence is looking for. So while from our perspective, it looks dire and it looks unfortunate, the truth is, if this is an essence we're talking about, maybe this person wants to have some time to themselves. Working in a bakery, can imagine how difficult it is. It means waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, starting baking in the middle of the night, or sometimes even living at night. And so we judge things. You see, we judge things from our perspective, thinking, oh my goodness, you're taking away livelihood from somebody. It's not quite, we don't know. We don't know what the essence is after. We don't know if that's actually a bad thing. So we have to learn. And of course, this is the game we play here. But now that we are becoming Neo, we have to learn to realize everything always comes from the inside. This person is not a victim of what's happening. This person is using a trigger, an external trigger, to activate the experience that she wanted to have. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.